Welcome to the very first episode of the Filling the Gap podcast. We are officially live. If you're new here, here's what it's all about. We empower women and underrepresented communities by filling the knowledge gaps no one else is talking about. We make essential skills, insights, and tools accessible so you can not just get by, but live your life to the absolute fullest. So, no gatekeeping, no jargon walls, no, you should already know this. Just real talk, real experts, and real answers, minus all of the ego. I'm your host, Beth Thomson, and I'm so excited you're here for our very first conversation. Today's episode is called From Data to Delight, because let's be honest, data on its own is not exactly thrilling. But when brands use it well, it turns into personalization that feels human, helpful, and surprisingly emotional. We're talking about marketing that doesn't just follow you online, it actually serves you. The kind powered by AI, creativity, and most importantly, empathy. The kind that makes you think, okay, that actually made my life easier. And I'm especially excited about today's guest because she lives right at the intersection of data, creativity, and real-world human customer connection. Jing Zhao is the director of marketing at Valu, where she leads a team that turns customer insights into personalized experiences that pet parents actually care about, not just the kind marketers talk to you about on slides. And before joining Valu, she led marketing transformations in sectors like retail and telecom, bringing data to life in organizations of all sizes, from big enterprise to fast-moving retail. She's seen what works, what breaks, and what it really takes to use data in a way that drives results and still feels human. In short, if you've ever wondered how brands can use AI and personalization without losing their soul, Jing is exactly the person you want to hear from. And we're going to talk about how AI is reshaping personalization, what real customer connection looks like in a digital world, and how leaders like Jing empower teams to innovate without losing the human touch. So welcome, Jing, to the Filling the Gap podcast, episode 1.
Thank you, Beth. Very happy to be here.
Yeah, so I am going to start by just better understanding the work you do at Valu. And of course, at Valu, you're connecting with customers who have very deep emotional relationships with their pets. So how do you blend data-driven marketing with that human emotional storytelling?
I feel really lucky to work in the pet industry. It's such a special place. People have really deep emotional bonds with their pets, and that gives us, as marketers, a really unique opportunity to connect with their customers in a way that's meaningful. It's a lot easier to tell heartfelt stories about someone's dog or cat than, say, their washing machine or bank accounts, right? But while the emotion is there, data is what really helps us show up in the right way at the right time. It's what really powers our ability to be relevant and be helpful. And I'll share an example. One of the email journeys that I love at Pet Value is our pet life cycle emails. So this is something that we launched last year, and we use data to understand where someone is in their journey as a pet parent. So whether they've just adopted a new puppy or it could be a senior dog. And then we have a triggered email campaign with tips on things to know when you bring home the puppy and also products to support them through this, very big phase of change. So it's not just about selling products, it's about saying, hey, we get you. We know what you're going through, and we're here to help. And that's where I think data and storytelling really comes together. It's when it's used to build trust and make someone feel seen and providing them a personalized experience for the moments that they need it the most. Like when you bring home a new puppy or an adopted cat, those are big life moments.
I love that. And you've, of course, seen across both large enterprise and agile retail environments. So, what do you feel has been the biggest shift in how brands are using data to drive real business outcomes?
Right. One of the biggest shifts I've seen, especially moving between big enterprises and more agile retail environments, is how brands are thinking about first party data. So, as we all know, with the deprecation of third party cookies, we're all a lot more conscious about the need to collect first party data, and also how we use it in ways that feels respectful and valuable. So it's not just about collecting data, but it's also about how quickly we can act on it. And I think that's the real game changer for the recent years. A few
Yeah.
years ago, you might spend weeks analyzing insights before being able to do anything with it. Now, especially in retail, we need to move faster. If a customer shows signal, maybe they're browsing on a website for products or reaching out to customer service, we need to connect those dots quickly and respond in a way that's actually helpful. I saw this play out a lot in telecom. I was at Telus for 4 years, and churn is a huge challenge. For telecom, a lot of people usually stay for years before, they switch a service provider. It's a lot of work to switch telecom providers and phone services. But when customers do it, everything might happen really, really quickly. So for telecoms, this is a key moment. The question is, how accurately and timely can you predict when someone might leave? And that means, mapping out all of your first party data across everything from web pages that your customer visits to the phone calls that they make to support, and then also figuring out, their likelihood to churn. So it's about catching these signals early and stepping in at the right moment before it's too late. And sometimes those moments happen so fast, and if you miss them, you'll lose a customer and also miss the chance to make a difference. So it's to me, it's about speed, precision, and also using data not just to understand people, but to action quickly. So I think, the big shift in the space in the last couple of years is really about moving from passive data collection to being more intentional on what you're collecting, the different types of data, and also taking action. So it's about using these signals at the right moments to create value for the customer.
And I want to dig a little bit more into AI and personalization because so many marketers they talk about hyper personalization, but so few actually achieve it. So, what does meaningful personalization look like to you, and where does AI fit into that?
Yes, so the industry has been talking about one-to-one personalization for years, but I have yet to see this happen. Consumers want personalization.
Hmm.
We can all see this from content platforms like Netflix, TikTok, the ones that do it really, really well. And as a consumer, I like it when the content I see is personalized to, what I like, but also balance it with a bit of discovery. So it's not just, the same type of content. It's easy for content platforms to do this because they already have all the content available. All they
Hmm.
need to do is personalize the content and balance it with discovery. For retail, meaningful personalization is much, much harder to achieve. For me, personalization is when it's done really, really well, is when a business doesn't just push me products that's, new or, the things that they want to market, but they're able to tell that I've been looking at their website at certain products and then put the cues together. So I'll give you an example. I like to run, and I've been looking at Adidas's website this past weekend at products like vests, and also base layer that feels really warm in the winter,
Hmm.
and also leggings for -5 degrees weather.
Yeah.
And why? Because it's getting cold, so cold for November,
Yeah.
and I need more winter gear. And if I receive an email with some great products for tops and leggings for the winter and the colds, and also why these products are great. So things like product features and benefits. As a customers, I'll see why these leggings might be better than the Under Armour ones that I'm also looking at as a
Hmm.
customer. So it's being able to kind of activate against the data with content that delivers value beyond the products themselves that's meaningful and valuable for customers. And we rarely see this level of personalization today. Why? Because while we can target customers down to one-to-one level, I mean, we can, automate this journey and set up triggers so that it deploys an email when it hits criteria. That's the easy part. But we also need a massive content library and being able to assemble all the content pieces down to one level. This is the challenge for retailers. It's
Mhm.
really hard to mass produce personalized content beyond the products themselves. And I think agentic AI might be able to solve this for us in its capability to assemble content, leverage, the brand's guidelines, and really produce personalized content at the one-to-one level. And this is, what I'm really excited about.
Yeah. And on that, how do you balance automation with authenticity? Because we want the customer to feel like, they're getting that genuine connection rather than feeling like it is a machine-driven experience.
That's such an important question. I think the balance between automation and authenticity really comes down to, if all you're doing is pushing products and offers and sales, it feels cold and very transactional. Customers can sense that and feel that. It's
Mhm.
like saying, here's what we want you to buy, instead of, here's something that will make your life better. Authenticity comes from the value beyond the product. It's the story, the expertise, the care that you bring to the whole experience. Take Sephora, for example. I really like Sephora. I shop there a lot. You can buy, the same lipstick or moisturizer at a ton of other places.
Mhm.
But people go back to Sephora because of the experience. It's that personalized
Yeah.
recommendation, the beauty advisor who really gets you and can talk in the same language. And that's what makes it authentic. So, marketing automation can, absolutely help us deliver personalization at scale. So things like triggering email when someone looks at, winter running gear, or reminding a pet parent about fleet prevention at the right time. But, if that email is just a list of products, it's not meaningful. The magic really happens when you combine automation with content, the types of content that educates, inspires, and also connects with the customer. So, for example, instead of here's 3 jackets, it's here's why this jacket is perfect for a -10-degree run in the winter time. And it's
Mhm.
how, and also including content around how the reflective trim keeps you safe at night. So that's value and that's care for your customers. And for the customers, it's also shortening the time that they need to spend to hunt around for something that fits their need.
Yeah. It's like, here's the product and here's the reason why you should buy it. And obviously within pets,
Exactly.
that's so important because it is always such an emotional purchase because it's the care and love that you have for your pet.
Totally.
And you talked a bit about first party data earlier, and that's becoming so much more valuable. So, how do you think AI can help brands like Pet Value better understand and serve their customers without crossing some of those privacy boundaries?
I mean, I think any type of technology, including AI, their purpose is to really help businesses serve their customers better.
Hmm.
That's what builds long-term relationships. So it's not about competing to the lowest price and then the race to the bottom because, you know, that's not sustainable. It's about delivering value in different ways. So whether it's through convenience, through emotional connection, helpful content, or expertise, all the things that make someone feel like this brand really gets me. I still remember when I first adopted my cat about 18 to 20 years ago. Her name is E. She was 2 years old, and I got her from two international students who were going back to their home country. So I brought her home, but I had, so many questions. What kind of litter should I use? Is there a better one than the one that she's on right now? What's the difference? Should I feed her dry food? wet food, or, both. There's just so many flavors and types of food, too many options. And I was just, trying to figure it all out. And I felt the same way when I had my son Liam. So many questions. And, you read books and you read things, but there's almost too much content. It actually makes you feel more anxious. So, for brands, how can brands personalize that experience and make it easier and more focused based on where the customer is in their current journey?
Mm-hmm.
That's where I see AI can come in to help. It can help brands quickly interpret data points from all kinds of sources, whether it's browsing behavior, purchase history, or patterns, and also piece it together to identify those key moments in a customer's journey. The other part is that AI can take away a lot of manual work. So it can
Mm-hmm.
help us pull together personalized content from a larger library and do it in a way that feels organic. At the end of the day, AI is a tool. And
Mm-hmm.
like any tool, the output really depends on how it's used and who's using it. And that's why it's so important to have the right guardrails in place. I think we need to be more intentional about how we design these systems, making sure that they're built to respect our customers' privacy and also don't overstep. The goal is to provide an experience that feels helpful, relevant, and also human. And when customers feel that they're understood and not monitored, that's when technology truly adds value.
I love that. And I think, shifting a little bit to talk about leadership and innovation, and obviously what you're creating at Pet Value, marketing in general, as we've sort of touched on, is changing so fast, with teams are needing to upskill and experiment and adapt. And there's so many new things coming into the market that we're having to learn. And it's really changing the rules and it's changing the game. So, how do you foster a culture of innovation and learning inside your marketing organization?
I agree, marketing is changing so fast and,
Mm-hmm.
it's never dull, that's for sure. One of the things that I really appreciate about working at Pet Value is the culture of innovation. There's a real openness to try new things, and that's essential because you can't innovate without experimenting. So,
Mm-hmm.
to foster this kind of culture on my team, I focus on creating an environment that's safe to test and learn. And I think just as importantly, it's okay if not every test works out. We test, we learn, when it fails, fail fast and pivot. I think that understanding has to be baked in from the start. Innovation requires a certain level of risk tolerance. And I try to give my team the space and support to explore new ideas without, the fear of things not working out all the time. Because in reality, things don't work out all the time. So I encourage them to always start small. You don't have to overhaul everything at once. We can try a 90-10 approach. So keep 90% of your efforts on what's proven, how things work today, and use 10% to test something new. And if it works, great. That's when you should scale it up. But if it doesn't, we learn and we move on. So it's about having the right mindsets. Innovation isn't just about being creative, it's also being methodical. And that's where I see myself come in as a coach to help the team think through their hypothesis, set up smart tests, and learn from the results. And when it comes to AI, I always remind my team it's a tool at the end of the day. So the output really depends on how it's used and the guardrails that we put around it. Because AI can help us move faster, analyze data quicker and more deeply, and maybe unlock new possibilities. But it's up to us to guide it and to make sure it's aligned to our brand's core values. And, that's how we keep innovation human centered and also impactful.
I couldn't agree more in terms of your viewpoint on AI. And I think when it comes to innovation, it's just so good to hear an organization really pushing it, but in a really, as you say, smart and methodical way. Because it's the only way an organization is going to grow. If you try new things, and if you fail, that's fine. We learn from it and we move on. So I think that's really great. And if you could give one piece of advice to marketing leaders about integrating AI without losing their brand voice or their brand trust, what would it be?
If I had to give just one piece of advice, it would be use AI as a tool, not a replacement.
Yeah.
So AI can be incredibly powerful when it comes to things like data analysis, data interpretation, and driving efficiency. So all the things that can speed up insights or automating repetitive tasks, and
Mm-hmm.
that's all great. But the moment you start using AI for branding, like replacing your photo shoots with generated images or creating content that's meant to represent your brand's heart and soul, that's where you
Mm-hmm.
need to be really, really careful. Take fashion, for example. When a brand launches a new collection, there's a lot of effort that goes into a photo shoot. You know, the texture of the clothing, the way that the fabric moves, the lighting that brings out all the details, and the models interacting with the clothing in a way that shows, personality and
Mm-hmm.
emotions. It's not always perfect, and I think that's the beauty of it. I mean, AI could generate a flawless image in seconds, but you lose something in that process. It's almost too perfect. You lose the authenticity and the human connection that makes people trust and love the brand. So, my advice is use it thoughtfully. It should never replace the heart of your brand. Use it to enhance what you do, but not to shortcut the parts that make your brand human.
Yeah, I mean, especially pets, right? Like you can't replicate the authenticity of an animal's face and reaction and the emotions you see. So, yeah, and I think you see some of it. I see some freaky videos on TikTok and things of AI generated animals, and I do not like it. But yeah, I completely agree. So as we look ahead to the future and future vision, so we've talked about how the pet industry is incredibly personal. Every purchase reflects that care and that love that pet owners have for their pets. So how do you see technology, data, and AI enhancing that relationship over the next few years?
The pet industry is such an emotional industry. Every product someone buys, whether it's, a cozy pet bed or a new toy, it's really an act of love. And I think what makes this space so special is that it's not transactional, it's about relationships. And looking ahead, I think technology, data, and AI will help us deepen that relationship even more. We'll be able to better understand each pet's unique journey from, the time that they are adopted to getting to a young adult dog to becoming a senior and aging. And, we will be able to support pet parents with timely, relevant guidance. Imagine getting, a message that says, hey, your cat is about to hit a growth milestone. Here's what to expect. And here are some products that can help. So it's not just marketing, it's expertise and
Mhm.
connecting with our customers in a different way. So when I think about technology and AI, AI is really strong in logic, in analysis, in interpreting data. It's good at structure and building a framework. But what it can't replace is that human emotion, that
Mhm.
irrational side of all of us and the human intuition, the gut feeling. So it can't feel what a pet parent feels when they bring home, your first puppy or, the heartbreak moments of saying goodbye to your cat. So those moments are full of emotions. So it's
Mhm.
important to remember AI is just the technology. We still need the humans to steer, to make sure what we deliver feels authentic, empathetic, and also aligned to what our brand represents.
And that emotional side with pets is just growing and growing, kind of as pets almost become our like our children, right? Like
They're
it's
for kids.
exactly, they are such an integral part of the family dynamic, and you put their needs sometimes above your own. So that emotional side, as a pet parent myself, I understand. So finally, if we imagine the future of marketing 5 years from now, what does a fully intelligent customer-centered ecosystem look like to you?
I think 5 years from now, a lot could change. And this is entirely my personal view, but I think we'll see marketing evolve into something much more intuitive and responsive. To me, a truly intelligent customer centered ecosystem will feel less like marketing and more like a personalized concierge.
Mm.
Something that anticipates your needs and can offer helpful suggestions, and more responsive in every interaction with the customer. In this future, AI won't be just analyzing data, it would be synthesizing data across different channels, understanding the context, and assembling content dynamically in a way that feels personal and also human. But I think, again, the key is thoughtful use. We'll
Hmm.
need strong governance, clear values, and human oversight to make sure we're not just automating for the sake of automating or only for efficiency, but it's actually enhancing the customer experience. So I think the best marketing ultimately will feel invisible, not because it's hiding underneath, but because it's so well timed and relevant. It feels like a natural part of someone's experience with the brand. And this is really the kind of feature I am really excited to build towards.
I love that. I love the idea of marketing feeling invisible. I think that's a really great way to look at it. I think we do have time for some rapid round questions. So I want to know, what's one morning ritual that helps you start your day with clarity before you dive into your work?
So I love to run. I am a runner. I run about an hour before my day starts, at 7:30, and that's usually the time when my son wakes up in the morning. And I find that it's my quiet time, which is so precious as a mom, and also like some light cardio in the morning really elevates your entire day. So your mood, your focus, your mindset. I think that's the one thing I can't live without, especially after having kids.
Mm, I wish I could do that. I need to take inspiration from you. And what's the best piece of career advice you've ever received, and who gave it to you?
The best career advice I received came from my current boss, Idan. So he's the reason why I came to Pit Value in the beginning. But more importantly, he reminded me that, as much as we think that great work speaks for itself, it's just as important to make others see it
Mm.
because, visibility matters. So it's not about self-promotion. Sometimes it can feel that way, but it's about helping others understand the impact of your work. And that advice has really shaped how I lead and how I advocate for my team.
It's amazing. Well, Jing, thank you so much for sharing your insights and filling the gap with us today. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, share it, send it to a friend who wants to understand how AI is changing customer experiences, or maybe they just simply love pets. I'm Beth Thompson, and this is just the beginning, and we'll see you next week.